So how might we take this basic principle and turn it into a more everyday sort of interaction, something you can talk to people every day? Because let's face it, you're not going to go and hang out with your friends, I'll come to it in a second, and just say, okay, your conscious mind does this, your unconscious mind that, conscious this, conscious that, conscious this, unconscious that. Yes, we already know that, Dave. You talked about it last week and the week before that and the week before that and the week before that and the week before that, right? So you need to have some variety, otherwise it's not very conversational, right? So you have some ideas?
An analogy.
We have an analogy, excellent.
Talking about a story.
Talking about a story, and we'll actually be coming on to both those things as we get to more of the advanced stuff. I want to stick something very simple now, really the same pattern we just did, the conscious-unconscious association. It's just we want to change the pattern a little bit in terms of change the mood slightly. Notice how these two things are actually the exact same pattern. This is still a conscious-unconscious association, isn't it?
Right.
It just looks different. This is a more classic conscious-unconscious association. It just looks different to what you did before. So what other kind of poles or bipolar experiences can we introduce that essentially have to do with consciousness and unconsciousness? Let me give you some examples. If you have a discussion with someone about the difference between being awake and being asleep, between how you process the information whilst awake or whilst dreaming, about waking reality and how it works, and dreaming reality and how it works. Isn't that a perfect vehicle for doing a conscious-unconscious association? Doesn't that fit? How about right? When you plan for something, you're preparing inside your mind, you're using logical steps, you think about it and so on. When you do it, how many times do you do things exactly as the plan requires, especially if other elements are involved? In other words, it's a live interaction, like a conversation. Anyone here ever plan a conversation they're going to have? You think about conversations, right? You think about, here's the things I want, the message I want to get across, and the things I want to say and so on. But the conversation never goes away. You kind of plan it out inside your mind, is it? You have to kind of make it up as you go along, right? So we've got planning versus doing, spontaneity versus, I guess, preparation or scripting of some sort, right? And by the way, this is one of the reasons that I don't like scripts. Where does scripts belong, right? Where does hypnosis belong? Especially conversational hypnosis. It's got to be live and interactive. I have no problems with scripts as a concept because it allows you to prepare. Right? It allows you to learn things and maybe take some ideas out and so on. It's if you try and use scripts when you're actually performing something, that's when people get in trouble. Do you see where I'm going with this? So what other kind of dichotomies are there that could be used for conscious-unconscious dissociation? And by the way, a lot of the stuff that you talked about in this list here, rather than throwing them out as a list, you can go into depth into each one of these things. Right? Let me give you some examples of what I mean. Right? Any people here in business? If you talk to people about different ways of solving problems, you know, you can analyze a problem, just find out all the different elements that are inside it and put them together in a list and weight them and all the rest of it. Versus creating or creativity. But ultimately, solutions have to be creative. There's something that happens that goes beyond all that analysis. Now, the analysis is important. But when you start creating solutions, that's when it gets interesting, isn't it? And we've all been creative, have we not? We've had something come up and suddenly we just know what to do. And there is no analysis involved. You just know what to do. Can you hear the switch happening? Can you feel the switch going between conscious and unconsciousness? Right? Do you see we're going with this? Do you want a couple more?
Yeah.
All right, let's go a little bit more esoteric here. Just to show you that we can have many different categories. In other words, this list could potentially be infinite or close to infinite in terms of how we split the world up. Medicating versus healing, right? When you take pills, when you do things, well, you do them on purpose, and you are medicating on purpose. You are consciously trying to influence how your body operates, right? Has anyone ever had a cut or a bruise? Right? Has that cut or bruise healed?
Yeah.
How do you do that? With antibiotics. That's the medicating side, right? But the antibiotics don't heal the cut. They just prevent it from infecting. Do you see where we're going with this? So pretty much in any profession, any social sphere that you're in, anything like that, you can create a conscious and unconscious dichotomy. So what I'd like you guys to do now is I'd like you to get together, get yourself in groups of 5 or so. And what I want you to do is start brainstorming dichotomies in the field that you are interested in. If you're in sales, then find out what kind of dichotomies fit my particular sales program, right? If you're in therapy, well, the conscious and unconscious association, of course, fits quite classically, but what other things will fit into that? Does that make sense? Out of curiosity, how many people here are in business? Okay, how many people here are in therapy? How many people here are primarily interested in some other ways of influencing people? What kind of things? Just give me an idea. Computing stuff, is that what you do in terms of business? So it'll be more like a business thing, like a sales cycle for computing, is that right? Okay, what else? Entertainment, excellent. Teaching, anything else? Preaching. Teamwork, so like kind of management and leadership sort of thing? So with co-workers, all right? Anything else? Breaking into companies. Are you like getting a crowbar and... You mean like getting accepted by a company in terms of... Okay, social engineering, thank you. Seduction, okay. Just so you know, guys, we won't be covering that as a topic itself here, just because it tends to derail things, but if that's of interest to you, again, all these things can be used in these different areas. So what I want you to do is find a group of like-minded people. Let's put it this way. Let's have over here people who are more interested in business, sales, that sort of things. Let's have people here who are interested more in social, more informal contexts like social situations and so on. Go ahead. Law? In terms of what? Are you talking about advocacy, like standing in front of a judge and persuading? Or are you talking more about giving advice and having people take it? All right, so I'll put that more in sort of a consulting model. So anyone here is like a consultant who has to have people accept their ideas, right? So again, do you see how the different models apply? I'd like you to get in groups of about 5 or so people and then start pulling out these dichotomies, how they fit within, what themes are within what the things that you do that have consciousness and unconsciousness already built into them, so that as you talk about them to people, you're actually inducing a trance. Does that make sense? Yeah? Go ahead and find some partners, and let's just spend about 10 minutes doing that, and then we'll go into a break. Alright guys, just pause what you're doing a second. So technically speaking, we're about to start the break now, but you guys seem to be having a pretty good time just running through these things, so why don't we do this? Why don't you run into the break and carry on chatting with your group through this? So if you need to go and have a coffee or water or a bathroom moment, then you can do that now too. We'll be back here again in 15 minutes, which is at 5 to 11. We'll start the next session, but feel free to carry on in this group if you need to, because you guys are doing good stuff, so I'm not going to interrupt that. And just know that the break's already beginning in the meantime. Okay, guys? Off you go.